I'm Langdon Cook, by the way. Thank you all for coming out tonight to support Forterra and Ampersand magazine and these amazing presenters that we've had. Right there, that's a blue chanterelle. And you could find one yourself if you went hiking up on the spine of the Cascades, where they like to hang out in the volcanic soils. This was illustrated by Catherine Mose. And if you open the magazine to page 33, you don't have to do it now, but in the safety of your own home later, you will find a beautiful spread by Catherine of 5 different edible wild mushrooms that you could hunt for here in our backyard and cook up back at home. I've been here now almost exactly 25 years in Seattle, and I've grown a little moss on me, decided to stick around. I picked my first wild mushroom and ate it about 25 years ago after a backpacking trip on the Olympic coast. And since then, I've just been adding new varieties to my plate. And at a certain point, it became my subject matter as a writer. I write about wild foods, but more importantly, I write about the wild people who are out there harvesting these foods. And so, you can see this headline here. I came home one day, and I told my wife that it was time, that I needed to get out on the mushroom trail. I'd been picking enough mushrooms for myself, but I needed to get out there because there were people, unlike me, a recreational hunter, there were people who were professionals, who were picking mushrooms commercially for profit. And I needed to get out there and investigate this hidden economy that was going on in the woods of the Pacific Northwest. And she gave an unequivocal no. Like many outdoorsy folks, hikers, bikers, mountain climbers, she'd heard the rumors. She had heard the rumors about the scene going on, this sort of carnivalesque scene of wild mushroom harvesters out there in the woods, and the territorial armed pickers, and the running Wild West gunfights in the woods. And she wasn't very thrilled with the idea. But, you know, I was already smitten. I was too far gone. I knew that I had to get out there and find out just how anybody could make a living picking a product that is so fleeting and ephemeral, like a wild mushroom, and rushing it to market. How could these guys living out of their cars, making camp in the woods, how could they possibly make a living doing this? So I got on what's known as the mushroom trail, and I went in search of the shadowy harvesters who were part of this very much, a Northwest thing. So I went in search of them, and I found this guy. This is Doug Carnell. Doug is what's known as a circuit picker. Now, he lives on the Washington coast, where he picks mushrooms, but he'll also go down to Northern California when the picking's good, or up to Alaska, or east to Idaho or Montana, basically within the geography of the greater Pacific Northwest. And he will follow the mushroom flushes as they happen, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. He's been doing it for 30 years. So I met Doug, and he became sort of my docent, if you will, to the woods and the wild mushrooms. So the very first time Doug agreed to take me picking with him, I met him out in Hoquiam on the Olympic Peninsula. And I could just hear my wife Martha's voice in my head. Within 1 minute of getting in his car, he was breaking the law. Now, those of you who are skilled at this, you might notice he's holding a crumpled can there, which doubled as a smoking device. Now, he was breaking the law a few years ago, I should mention. Maybe not today. But that's pretty much the first thing that Doug did. And actually, he would lose the can soon after and have to get resourceful the way mushroom pickers do and use one of the black trumpets that, that he had found along the way. So we jumped into Doug's crummy Skylark, and we drove north on Highway 101, and we headed into mushroom country. And pretty soon he got off the highway, and we entered the labyrinth of logging roads out there on the Olympic Peninsula. And the road deteriorated from gravel to dirt to goat path. And then there was a big pool of water up ahead, and I didn't think the car could make it through. And he told me to hold my breath, and he gunned the engine, and we made it through. And there was a log across the road, and he parked there, and he said, "Okay, we're here." Now, when you think about people out there making their living in the woods and hunting mushrooms and doing that sort of thing, you might imagine really bucolic, scenic places, mountain vistas, old-growth forest festooned with moss, babbling brooks, that kind of thing. And occasionally that's true. But more likely, if you're going to go out with Doug and you're going to look for 60, 80, 100 pounds of wild mushrooms to sell at the marketplace, you're going to be going to this. You're going to be going to industrial timberland. And you're going to go to a place that has lots of young dog hair woods. It's going to be wet and spooky and dark in those woods. You're going to see a lot of leftover logging slash from the previous cut. And these places, they grow mushrooms like a crop. The mushroom pickers know where to go. They know where the best patches are. And so we got out of the car. Doug grabbed the implements of his trade, a bucket and a knife from the dollar store, and he said, "Follow me." So I proceeded to follow Doug. And one thing about being a commercial mushroom picker is you have to be efficient. You have to be fast. You have to move. And Doug's pretty long-limbed, and so I'm trying to keep up with him. Meanwhile, he's barreling through chest-high huckleberry and salal. There's no trails in this place. I mean, we are way off the beaten track. I have no idea where we are. I'm following him over hill and dale. He's carving the trail. I'm following Doug. And pretty soon, I can't really see him through the trees anymore. And then, a little while later, I can't even hear him. And it was at this point that I really heard Martha's voice of alarm ringing in the back of my head. And I thought, she's so right. Doug's not going to reveal any of his secrets. These guys don't reveal secrets. They keep secrets. He's spinning me around in the woods of Washington, in the woods of the Pacific Northwest, and he's going to see if I'm man enough to find my way out. He's leaving me to die out here. And then, just as that paranoid thought crossed my mind, I heard his voice up ahead. "Hey, where are you?" And I chastised myself for not trusting. And I followed his voice, and I scrambled up through the woods to the top of this ridge, and there was Doug standing up there. And he had a big grin on his face, and he was just pointing. And I got up there, and I stood up there with him, and he was looking down into a ravine on the other side of the ridge. And I looked down with Doug, and there, just as far as I could see, hedgehog mushrooms, the creamy caps of one of my favorites of all the wild mushrooms, such a delicious culinary treat. And there were acres and acres spreading before us down on the forest floor. And Doug, with the laconic way of the backwoodsman, turned to me and he said, "It's just a small patch." And so I picked mushrooms with Doug for the rest of the day. And in fact, I got on the mushroom trail with him and realized what a sweetheart this guy really is. He might break the law a little bit, bend it a little bit here and there, but, he also rescues stray dogs from the patch. This right here is Buddy Ramp, a dog that he found in the patch and made his own, and now he carries it through all the mushroom patches that he goes to. And so I would follow Doug for the next couple of years through the mushroom patches, and you can see Buddy Ramp right under his bucket there following along. And Doug would tell me everything he knew and reveal all the secrets and just allow me and everybody that I wrote my book for to sort of enjoy this great place that we call home just a little bit more. Thank you very much.